All right, so I'm gonna show you how to mark the lines for the belt holders on the front plate. As you can see, this one has been drilled, countersinked to be able to fit the blocks and the design of the printer. You see this little mark here? That's basically for me to know that this is the front, top, and this is to the right. That way I know how to align it so it's not like this. You may or may not want to do that for yourself. It's up to you. I found it easier. So on the back, as you can see here, what I did was I took a ruler. This should be about 3.5 inches wide by 3.5 inches. So what I did was I measured, obviously 3.5 inches, I centered, 3.5 inches, I centered. So now I have my center because I want to make sure that I mark my lines in the center as best as possible, going this way. So this is the piece, the same holder or plate like I did on the y-axis. So you can see right here, it lines up with my holes. This again, I'm going to drill this and I'm going to tap it by 8-32. I'm still keeping those measurements. So I just wanted to show you how you could get this measured, just in case you're having a hard time aligning it based on the diagram. The diagram of course has the measurements, but I figured this may be easy for you. So I'll take this out of the way. Now comes the assembly of the belt holder. So I'm putting these pieces into screen so you can see them. Again, these are the same number 8 black flat washers. You can see I have 4 here instead of 2, and I will explain that in a second. These screws are 8-32 by 1.5 inches. They are longer than I need, and I will explain how that's going to work. Yeah, same brand as the other parts. The spacers are nylon spacers, 3/8 by 0.171 by 1 inch. So, and I already talked about this guy, how I got it. Now the reason for the 4 washers is because this spacer is the length we need, but let me bring the belt. This is the belt that I've been using. If we tie our belt on here the way we have been doing, it's gonna slide up and down. So let's say since this is pretty long, once we have it on here, over time and movement of the machine, it could move up and down. It could tie in or loosen the belt over time. So what we're gonna do is, I'm just gonna measure this belt. It's 0.2295 of an inch, a little under 1/4 inch. So I want this to be a little wider than this, so I'm just gonna adjust this to about 1/4 inch. You can also do this with a ruler. Actually, let me show you with a ruler, because that's what I've been generally using, but that told us what the size of the belt was. So this is my ruler. Whoop, there it goes. Just put it down, make it easier on me. So if I line this up, I want this, I'm gonna mark this with a Sharpie to about 1/4 inch. So I just want to make sure that it's lined up. I'm holding it in place. So you can see right there, that's about 1/4 inch. At least I hope. Let me zoom in. See, it's about 1/4 inch. So what I will do after that is I'm gonna cut this. So what I'll do next is I'm gonna pause the video and I'm back. So you might recognize this. There's a pipe cutter. So I haven't tried this before with the nylon. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to line this up. Oh, yeah, these guys are kind of slippery. Let me close this up a little bit now. Okay. So I'll line that up there. It's a bit of a challenge to do this while recording because I can't have it right in front of me. So I'm tight on there. It's gonna go around. And this is short, so it's not that difficult. So if I had a smaller one, that'd be easier. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm just gonna pause the video again, cut this, and then I'll be back once I have it cut. All right, so it's kind of difficult to see in there. Let's see if I could zoom in. Let's get some light. So as you can see on there, it's cut. What I did was I held it on this side with this guy. It's for, you know, electrical work, but I just held it with the edge right here. Seemed to fit perfectly right here and gave me a nice grip. This line is just to make sure that it wasn't spinning around on here, so that way I could gauge it. So I just went through it until I cut. Now the reason that I used the pipe cutter instead of some other method of cutting it was because I wanted this to be as even as possible. Yeah, you could use some sort of saw or something. If you can cut it straight, you're fine. There's no issue with that. At least I would have no issue with it. Now the reason that I want this split like this is because we have a screw. Actually, let me get this out of the way for a minute. We're gonna have this screw, a washer, then we'll have this piece that's about 1/4 inch. Technically, if you could buy a 1/4 inch piece of this and a 3/4 inch piece of this, you don't have to do the cutting. I just couldn't find it, so I just bought the 1 inch and cut it. So once I have this side on, then goes this side, then goes this side, of course, and this is gonna go against the plate, right? So I'm gonna use one of these other holes just to show you. It's gonna go like this. So you can see it's protruding a little bit, but I don't have this plate on yet. So if I pull this apart, put my plate on, put this back together, you can see, does not protrude. Once you tighten it, it might protrude just a little bit. If it does, you might need to take a file to it. Now another thing you can do, which you may or may not want to do, it really depends how things go for you. If you ever seen one of these, you'll see that it has these holes on the side here and on this side here. And they have screw sizes. So this hole here, I believe, it's kind of worn out, 8/32. So these are actually for cutting screws of certain sizes. So if I was to put this in here, and I'm not going to do it right now because I may not need to cut it. If I was to put this in here, it will come out on this side here. Once I have it to the length I need, you just squeeze really hard and the screw will shear, because most of these sizes it will shear. The smaller it is, the easier it is, of course. So it'll shear off, and then you might need to file the tip a little bit to even it out, and then you have a shorter screw. I don't think I'm gonna need to do that. If it does protrude a little bit over here, I'll just take a file to it and just make it flush. Because if it does, it's gonna be like, wow, less than 0.5 millimeter or something like that. So that is how the assembly works here. So this area here is where the belt's gonna go. And the reason for the washers again is if the belt moves up and down, it helps hold it in this area. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm just gonna finish cutting this side, drill and tap the plate, and then I'm gonna assemble it. And I guess I might record that or I may not. We'll see. So hopefully this helps you understand why I'm doing it this way. You don't need to do it this way. You might find another way that's better for you. If you do, share it with everybody. You know, this is all about sharing knowledge. So I just wanted to show you more or less what it's going to look like once you have it assembled like this. Again, the belt will go through here on this side, through here on this side, tied off with the little, I guess, homemade clamping system with the 2 pieces of the L bracket on each side and the belt going through there. So there you go.